I'm too sensitive? Am I making a big deal out of nothing? If I were just better at communicating, this wouldn't happen. Other people have it so much worse. If these thoughts constantly circle your mind, you are not alone. This question, whether you're really experiencing abuse or simply overreacting, is perhaps the most common doubt survivors face, and for good reason. This doubt isn't random. It's the direct result of gaslighting, a sophisticated form of manipulation where abusers make you question your own reality. And it's precisely this uncertainty that keeps many people trapped far longer than they would be otherwise. So the question becomes, why are we questioning ourselves? Before we explore how to answer this, it's important to understand why we ask it in the first place. Gaslighting is one of the cruelest weapons in the narcissist arsenal. When done effectively, it creates fog and confusion around your perceptions, your memories, your feelings. The narcissist systematically undermines your confidence in what you see, hear, and experience until you no longer trust your own mind. I'm Grace Channing. I'm the author of a new book soon to be released. It's entitled Love Crimes. I wrote the book to help others understand what happened to them, to understand what they have been exposed to. And today I'm addressing one of the most frequently asked questions that I receive. Am I really being abused, or am I just overreacting? They ask this not fully understanding that their mind has been altered. In my relationship with Neil, this happened in countless small moments that built upon each other. And when I would express hurt over something he had said, he would respond with, "I never said that," or "You're imagining things." When I would recall a previous conversation, he would insist it had gone completely differently, with such conviction that I began to doubt my own memory. This is why I encourage victims to keep journals. This persistent reality distortion creates a state of cognitive dissonance, the psychological discomfort that occurs when you hold two contradictory beliefs simultaneously. On one hand, you're experiencing pain, confusion, and fear. On the other, you're told repeatedly that everything is fine and that you're the problem, that your perceptions are flawed. This cognitive dissonance doesn't just make you doubt whether you're experiencing abuse. It makes you doubt your very sanity. I remember standing in a grocery store aisle, paralyzed with anxiety over which brand of carbonated water to buy. Neil had specifically asked for club soda, but the store only had seltzer. This trivial choice, something that in a healthy relationship would be met with a shrug at most, had me on the verge of a panic attack. Deep down, I knew my terror was disproportionate to the situation. Part of me recognized that being afraid of bringing home the wrong type of water indicated something was seriously wrong in our relationship. But another part of me had internalized Neil's narrative that I was incompetent, overly emotional, and unable to handle simple tasks. Standing there, hands shaking, I wondered, am I really being abused? Or am I just terrible at being a partner? Is this just normal relationship stress that I'm failing to handle properly? That moment in the grocery store exemplifies the confusion that gaslighting creates. When your perceptions are so consistently invalidated, even the most obvious signs of abuse become clouded with doubt. All relationships face challenges. All couples disagree, miscommunicate, and occasionally hurt each other's feelings. So, how do you distinguish between normal relationship difficulties and abuse? The key differences lie in patterns, intent, and impact. In healthy relationships, conflicts are specific and situational. They arise from particular circumstances or miscommunications. They get resolved, and both people grow from the experience. Most importantly, both partners retain their dignity and their sense of self throughout. In abusive relationships, particularly with narcissists, conflicts follow predictable patterns designed to maintain control. The issues constantly shift, so resolution becomes impossible. Disagreements aren't about solving problems, but about establishing dominance. And over time, a person's sense of self-confidence and reality become increasingly eroded. When I finally began to recognize these patterns in my relationship with Neil, I started keeping notes, documenting incidents, my feelings, and his responses. This created a record and became my anchor to reality when gaslighting made me doubt my own mind. Some of the patterns that I identified included moving goalposts, requirements consistently changing so that I could never meet them, double standards, rules that apply to me but not to him, disproportionate reactions, explosive anger over minor issues, criticism that attacked my character rather than addressing specific behaviors, conversations that left me feeling confused and questioning my sanity, the need to constantly manage his emotions while dismissing my own. These patterns revealed that what I was experiencing wasn't normal relationship conflict. It was a systematic campaign to undermine my autonomy, my sense of reality. While your mind might be clouded by gaslighting, your body often tells the truth with crystal clarity. Pay attention to physical symptoms that emerge in relation to your partner or specific interactions. These bodily responses aren't imaginary or overreactions. They are your nervous system's honest assessment of a threat. In my case, my body was screaming long before my mind fully acknowledged the abuse. Here are some of the things that I experienced. My stomach in knots before Neil came home from a business trip. Tension headaches that coincided with his moods. Shallow breathing in his presence. Sleep disturbances, especially after conflict. Digestive issues that couldn't be explained. Eventually, these stress responses culminated into a physical crisis, my leukemia diagnosis. Now, I can't scientifically prove the connection, but the timing and the circumstances strongly suggest that the chronic stress of narcissistic abuse contributed significantly to my illness. Your body knows when you're in danger, even when gaslighting has convinced your mind to doubt it. These physical symptoms are not overreactions. They're warning signals deserving of your attention. Perhaps the most important message I can share is this. You don't need absolute certainty to honor your discomfort. Many survivors remain trapped for years seeking conclusive proof of abuse, a smoking gun that will silence all doubt. But narcissistic abuse rarely provides such clear-cut evidence. Its power lies precisely in its ambiguity, in the space between what you experience and what you're told you're experiencing. You don't need to prove beyond all doubt that what you're experiencing qualifies as abuse. You only need to recognize that you feel consistently diminished, confused, and unsafe in your relationship. Your discomfort is valid evidence, regardless of how skillfully it's dismissed or minimized. Your feelings deserve respect, even if, especially if, you've been conditioned to doubt them. And in the end, the very fact that you're asking, am I overreacting, suggests something is wrong. People in healthy relationships rarely question whether they're being abused. They don't walk on eggshells or constantly analyze their own reactions for signals of excessive sensitivity. If you're asking yourself whether you're really being abused or simply overreacting, I want you to know that this question itself is a red flag. It's often the product of gaslighting, a manipulation that has successfully made you doubt your own perceptions. The path forward begins with granting yourself permission to trust your experience. Not because you have irrefutable evidence of abuse, but because your well-being matters, because relationships should bring clarity, not confusion, security, not fear, growth, not diminishment. You don't need unanimous validation from others. You don't need your partner to admit to abuse. Well, they never will. You don't even need to label your experience as abuse if that term feels overwhelming. You simply need to acknowledge that your current situation is not supporting your well-being. And that alone is reason enough to seek a change. Remember, questioning whether you're overreacting is not a sign of weakness or hypersensitivity. It's often the first step towards reclaiming your reality from those who have worked to distort it. Thank you for listening to this perspective today. I hope that you can break the silence around these invisible forms of abuse and start to trust your own experience. Please like and subscribe. I have so much more to share on how to awaken and heal from this invisible abuse. There is a path to living a more joyful life, so let's start to walk down that path.